we are drawing to the end, Alan, of our 2 days together.
Be ready for one of Jenny's G&Ts later, I think.
I am very ready for a gin and tonic. There's still a few questions we've got to answer, but just at this point, as we begin to draw, you just said 5 hours of conversation, 5 hours of input to a close. Anything particularly you want to put on the table at this point for us?
Well, I think obviously the first thing to do is to thank all of the presenters and all of the team that have helped to set this event up. It's been no small feat to produce a conference when we thought we were going to have a venue, then we're not. And then the date's been continually changing because of what's been going on. So the first thing is to thank everybody who's helped pull it together. Also to thank Pete and the team who I think have done a fantastic job of hosting a live event in a fantastic studio setting here in Newcastle. But it's brilliant to know that there are facilities and there are people with this kind of talent available in our local area. So I just want to call that out first. This couldn't have happened without an amazing team. We're very grateful for the support and the talent of all the people locally to help us get it on the ground. Yeah, it has been incredible. And we've had an amazing variety of presenters and communicators with us over the last 2 days, and the inspiration has been vast, really. And the stories and creativity of this region has come through all the folk who've been with us, which is good. And I think the thing is that, you know, we haven't found something or we haven't gone and made something. You know, these are the things that are already here. All we've done is shine a light on the fantastic people, the fantastic stories and the fantastic organisations. All we've done is shine a light on what's already there. And I think it's sometimes, you know, it's very easy to see the negative, but it's actually, it's actually easier to ignore that and focus on the positive. And there's so much positivity in this area. And you've heard that hopefully over the last 2 days. There are amazing, loads and loads of great stories. I'm going to carry the stories with me as we draw this to a close, because I regularly hear the negative stories of Staffordshire and Stoke, and that's often the norm. And what we've heard over this last 2 days is actually that's not the norm. It's not the norm at all. That's not the reality. The negative stories are often shouted loudly or put on the front pages of our newspapers or on Facebook pages. But actually, the reality is there's so much positivity, there's so much going on, there's so much investment, there's so much entrepreneurship, and it's just been great to hear all of that coming out of this region in which we live, work, and spend our time. Yeah, and it's kind of, it's the old, noise, squeakiest cog gets the most oil, but in reality, there are loads of people just getting on with it, doing brilliant things, helping each other, supporting the community. It's absolutely fantastic. A couple of nice comments just coming in. Brilliant conference, well done everyone. That's nice to hear from external. Great conference and speakers. So proud to live, work and do business in Staffordshire. And that's what we want people to feel, proud to be here. We want people to stay here and root here, and the partnerships to support each other to do that. So that's really, really encouraging to see. Alan, there are a couple of big picture questions left on my list to just throw at you, if that's okay. Yeah, of course. So we won't let you get off too lightly. You thought you'd finished. I know I've done a lot of presenting today. I've got a lot more tired than I thought I'd be. There you go, you see. So I thought I'd just throw a couple of big questions at you. Why are the LEP continuing to invest and support big ticket projects like Ceramic Valley and I-54 South Staffordshire when small businesses are failing because of the pandemic? What's that about? Yeah, so, it's important that the LEP holds the ring on the big projects and the big things. If we don't focus on the big things, then we will have more trouble in the future. Ceramic Valley Enterprise Zone is a fantastic opportunity where we've created lots and lots of employment units, really large-scale employment site that lights up this part of North Staffordshire, and that's a fantastic thing. And that when Abby and the team conceived that idea 5 years ago, we're now feeling the benefits 5 years later and for another 5 and 10 years to come. So sometimes you do have to focus on the really big things, because they're the things that will power you through in the long term. Same with I-54. I-54 has brought some large-scale employers, people like Moo, people like JLR to our area, and we're continuing to invest to scale that site out so that we can have more of those employment opportunities here as well. So we have to do the big things. If you don't do the big things, then long term, then you're not going to have those, that economic bounce that you need. And we will continue to look at those big ticket items and big infrastructure projects that open up housing and employment sites across the area, because they are absolutely critical. Now, in the short term, you do get challenges in the economy, and that's where we do need support. And again, the LEP provides the funding for things like the Growth Hub and for that network. And I know Nicola was a bit too shy earlier, but they've supported thousands and thousands of organisations during the crisis. So the reality is that the LEP is doing the big things, and our partners and the things we fund are also there to provide the interim and the here and now that support the businesses need as well. We've been pumping money into the Skills Equipment Fund. We've been delivering cash through the Getting Building Fund, and lighting up projects across the entirety of the county and the city as well.
It's amazing. And one final question. It's kind of a big picture question, Alan, again. What's the LEP currently lobbying government for? You've been successful in many ways in lobbying government for all kinds of things. What are you currently lobbying government for?
We're lobbying government for lots of things. We're lobbying lots of different departments for lots of things, and we're listening to partners to work out, and hear what's important and make sure that we provide the support they need. So that may be around, flexibility around how we account for things based on delays or whatever through COVID. It may be around support for more funding to support projects that we have here locally. Again, the LEP uses its voice in many ways. So during COVID, we were there working with the LEP network, which represents LEPs nationally, providing the government with input and support around things like the furlough scheme, around the CBILS loans, Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme. So again, a lot of the time, the LEP will be an invisible voice that's supporting an informal or other venues, or in forums rather. But again, one of the big things we're really focusing now is making sure that we get long-term support for funding so that we can, again, we've put a lot of work in to build a large programme of projects that will benefit the entirety of the county and the city. And the thing that we're lobbying most now is giving us that long-term idea of funding so that we can start to make those long-term commitments and keep things going. So that's the biggest thing at the moment, but we are lobbying all of the time, taking the feedback from on the ground and making sure we're pushing that through all the channels we have available to us. That's
great. No questions from the iPad, but what I've said to each contributor, and you're the final one, to just kind of say if there's one thing you want to leave with the folk who've kind of tuned in, been part of this last 2 days, I'm going to give you a minute. This is the Alun Rogers minute. This is your minute to say whatever you want to the guys who've tuned in and listened in. As the chair of the LEP, what do you want people to carry away with them in just 1 minute? Alan, over to you.
Right, that was, I wish you prepped me for it, I might have thought of it, but you'll get it off the hoof instead. So I think the most important thing is that if you're in business, it's important for you to know that there's an organisation that is business-led, understands what it's like to be a business, and has, sorry, I'm getting distracted from in the studio now, that's business-led and absolutely has your interests at heart. And we're absolutely helping the public sector as that intersection between the private and the public sector. And I think if you're a business person or you're thinking about getting into business, my key message is stay positive, be bold, be brave, and you really can achieve something. You've heard from lots of speakers who've been able to do that, and I hope we've been able to inspire you and motivate you, because that's really, really important to the success of this area. It's going to be delivered by people. It's going to be delivered by people who want to achieve something, and that's the most important thing.
Alan, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being alongside me for the last 2 days. I've really appreciated that. Just to add my thanks to all that Alan thanked a few moments ago, thank you to everyone who's enabled this last 24 hours to happen. The 5 hours of input, every contributor, the team here at King Street Studios, PH Productions, the LEP, and all of your team as well. We can still achieve in Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent our potential and beyond. And that's what we want to just leave you with. We want you to thrive in the months that are ahead. And the LEP is here to support you with every step of that journey. So I hope over this last 2 days you've worked out who you can talk to, where you can access support, what funding's available to you, where you can take your questions. And so we're going to end our 2 days. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you. You'll be able to access all of this input on the web, on the app. All the videos will be available for you to come back to. If there's a particular communicator you think I'd like to go back there, or I didn't quite note that telephone number down, or you'll be able to access everything. So do stay in touch. Stay in touch with this app and the website. And we look forward to seeing you, supporting you, and journeying with you as we push to the future together. Thank you.